Okay, so welcome back, guys. I wrapped up at a nice time yesterday, which was right thing to do. I've cut off the bolt for this stand. That one does just slide out, so I am able to put on this rear stand as long as it kind of does its basic function, as long as it works, basically. It looks exactly the same. It should fit. It isn't bent, so it should be fine. So I'll get that chucked on and we'll see how that goes. I prefer it to be on a stand. It's just much easier to work on. If for any reason this stand doesn't work because the engine mount is bent or something, it wouldn't be the mount, it'd be the bottom, which happens on occasion, but it's rare. Then we would go to side stand, which is fine. So far this build has cost $300 for the bike, $380 for the engine. Although, good news about the engine, I asked for £100 back. What I did was I looked up the parts. I said to them that, you know, I said the injector, the rear tyres, I was being a bit picky on that one, but the rear tyre's a bit flat, or fully flat actually, so it might be punctured. So I was a bit silly with that one, but I said the injector and the stand, and again I showed them that in their pictures they were holding the bike up, so they knew the stand was broke. And that if I bought it with that advertised, then it was on me. It was my, you know, it was on me. But actually, it's not a functioning engine without an injector. Then I went to look for a second-hand injector, and there wasn't any. There just wasn't any. Fowler's Parts had one, £147. The rear stand is £90. So that's, you know, brand new parts. That's 50 quid ish. And I said to him, it'd be absolutely unfair for me to ask for 250 quid. The rear stand you can definitely get 20-30 quid on eBay, but the injector you can't. I said, if you know, we'll call this closed if you send back 100. Then they tried to do 50, and they were a little bit blunt about 50. They were a bit like, that's it, blah blah blah, you go and do whatever. And I said, well, you know, I'm not here to rip you off. I just want to make sure it was a fair buy. In the end we settled on 80. So this engine cost 300. And we happened to have the parts for it, but that kind of wasn't the point, because we could sell the parts that we've got spare. So that was the point. So anyway, 300 for the bike, 300 for the engine, 40 quid on a variation of parts, because that company wouldn't split them, unless in the end they do just send the middle part. I wouldn't be surprised. And then actually we've got the brake lever, master cylinder, and the line coming to the rear brake. That was about 40 quid. So we're kind of 680-ish into this bike. It not long ago passed an MOT. Little side panel I've got down here, actually, that was 7 or 8 quid. So we're looking okay, and it's going to look like a really neat, nice 2013 bike. And it'll go up for $12.50 once it's running and tested and working and everything's good. That's if everything's good, of course. So I'm going to bolt on this in hope that it works. Hardest part for me always is getting on the springs again. Actually, they're a right pain, but I mean, you can do it, but it can be a right pain. So I'll do that, and then we will look at, well, what's next for us really. It will be bolting the back end back together because we're done there. So the other stand works perfectly well. It must have been such a minute change in bentness of this. They honestly looked identical, guys, but this one didn't hold up and that one does. So that's great news. It's so much easier to do anything on a moped when you've got a centre stand, including the engine. So that's great. So I just took it for a very basic test run. It's got a bit of a clutch noise. It's quite common with these, a bit of a clutch rattle. I thought it was rollers at first, but listen. it is a noise that would massively put off a potential buyer, so it is something we need to look into. We can always swap clutches over, they're exactly the same. Normally, like I said, them clutch noises are quite common. They're nothing to worry about. The bike will run forever sounding like that, but people find it a bit nerve-wracking, which kind of makes sense. So I will pop the housing off now while it's easily got to, like this, and we'll just have a bit of a look at it and make sure it's kind of okay and it's not on loose or it doesn't need nipping up or anything. Otherwise we will switch across to this one. Apologies about the noise in the background. On this bike you can start it briefly with the cover off. We can hear the noise from the clutch. So the ideal is to pop it off and switch it across with that one. So part of me is annoyed that I have to do this, and part of me knows that it's worth doing. Your rattle is most likely in here. Now I don't take the clutches apart, they're quite awkward. They fly up at you and it's quite hard to get them back in place. But your rattle is normally something to do with the centrifugal issues in here. So normally these will be there could be two soft springs, or one of the springs could have broke or something like that. There's no easy way of knowing until you've broken it apart. And then the housing here is fine, but I'm going to take it all off the other side anyway. The Ryobi is your absolute best friend here, guys. I'm telling you, I spent years using wrenches and crowbars and anything else to get this done. That thing just blitzes it off, no issues at all, and it's safer and easier. If you're ever doing this more than once, buy one of them. What are they, 140 quid? And they're just brilliant. So it's all here, and what I'm going to do is look at the other side and compare it all. Basically, I'm going to take all that apart, bring it over here, see which looks best. The actual surface areas here for the belt, I don't like. They're not good. I feel like this engine's been sitting around for longer than they said, because you wouldn't normally get that kind of stuff on them because they're running, they're constantly cleaning. So I need to do all this again over there, and then we will kind of swap over the best bits. Out of curiosity, the rollers, I felt like the rollers were a little bit noisy. We'll just have a little look while we're here. What have I just done? Sometimes the rear doesn't come off with the housing. Look, it all needs a good clean, but it's not a huge issue. Let's have a look at these. I don't know, I can't tell. They're not great. They're not hugely misshaped though, or are they? They are actually. Again, I'm going to take the best bits off both bikes and build the best from both. Like that goes there. Yeah, they're more worn on one side than they are the other, but I'm going to clean everything up. So everything from the other engine is so much better. These rollers are lightened rollers. These are slightly heavier ones, but they're clean, they're round, they're practically brand new. Everything on the other engine is much better. So I've swapped the clutch over immediately. Yep, even the belt's better. Gonna give it all just a quick rinse, bit of WD-40, bit of a wipe, put it back on this bike, fire it up, see how we sit. It should sound and run great. There's no reason why it wouldn't. I'm not going to put the others back on the engine because they're good spares. I'm going to strip that engine down into a wheel and a side casing and blah blah blah, whatever's left. So I'm going to keep putting this back together, and we'll fire it up and see what it sounds like in a bit. Okay, work well worth doing, I think. Let's have a little listen. Lovely. I'm happy with that. What rattled out? Oh, one of the bolts for the airbox. I'll chuck that back in. Yep, absolutely happy with that. Sounds great. What's next? The throttle cable is a bit loose. I need to take some slack out before I do anything else. It just winds me up, that's all. It yeah, it's quite a lot actually. Look, goes all the way to there before doing anything. So I'll take that out now while we've got time. And then the aim will be to put the rear end back together, really, because it's the front we're going to be taking apart to get the braking sorted. The cable just runs underneath to there, so although it will go through here. So there's not loads we can do, but I can get all the rear panels on, just the rear panels, all the lighting connected up, stuff like that, and all of the panels here, and get the bucket bolted down. That can all be done at this stage, and should be. So that's next. So cable tightening, and then yeah, get the back end neatened up a bit. This panel's here, it's arrived. To be fair, that can go on now as well. It's such a shame the clutch, the master cylinder for the rear brake isn't here yet. I think it'll be tomorrow. So before putting any of the rear panels back on, this is where you give it a good clean, just washing up liquid and water for the first run, and then I'll put some of my specialist turtle wax stuff on. It's the best stuff out there for this kind of quick job. It's not kind of cutting compound. You would use cutting compound if you're doing a whole car. If you're doing a quick rub down of a bike like this, that stuff is stunning, guys. I've shown you before, I'll show you again after. Any bits of touching up like that little black there, you do it afterwards before you put on a wax coat. So, good clean, some buffing with that stuff. Then another bit of a clean on the areas that you might touch up, and then you touch them up. It'd be tempting to put the touch up on before using that stuff, but actually that stuff would take it off, I'm sure. So it's coming together. Don't worry too much about the finger marks, because I've put them on top of the turtle wax stuff. It will polish off, and then I'm going to put a thick wax on it, you know, at the end when it's kind of ready. I made a mistake. I put the bowl on first, but the bowl sits on top of this panel, so the bowl goes on second, and then the rear box thing will go on at some point after that. So the rear end is kind of coming together at this stage. So my box from Hills Motorbikes has come. This is the company for 2 days, just messed me around. I just wanted that panel because my one's wrecked. Look at this panel, look at the shape, and my one's there, and it's cracked and wrecked and gaffer taped. So I said to them, they sold me all of this for £40, yeah? I said to them, keep the crap, I'll give you 30, just send that. Sell the rest for whatever you get for it. They said, nope, it comes as one lot, or don't buy it at all. And actually it was the only one of them I could find anywhere in the world. Even Fowler's Parts didn't have a new one. So I kind of had no choice, but then I do get stuck. I mean, look, front panel with some spray paint on it. I mean, why? Why? Well, I mean, it might clean off, but why? What? Junk. The rear light, I mean, surely the rear light unit sells for 20, because it's even got the electrics in it. Why wouldn't they have made a few extra pounds? What they've done is just dump their crap on me, that's what they've done. What I'll do is I'll make a specialist fly box and sell it back to them. I'll sell it to someone else. Right, that middle panel is the one I needed. I need to clean it up. I've got basic washing up liquid and water. I've said this 100 times before. Washing up liquid and water is fine on a vehicle paintwork. There'll be people out there who swear that you should not use it. All it does is it's a degreaser. It takes waxes off. So if you use it on your paintwork, you have to re-wax afterwards. It's not bad for your paintwork. It's actually very, very good. If you were doing any kind of paint correction or anything, use that first. But yeah, but you have to put a wax on afterwards, that's all. So I do use liquid and water a lot. I fill this back up and I do it. It's brilliant on the plastics as well. So I'll give that a clean. That's going to go on. And then I can button up the rear end to an extent. But I can't do much with the front because I've got to run the brake line all the way down through the middle. So yeah, I mean really I'm not even sure I should be putting this on in case the innings need to come back at all. Maybe I need to start working that area first. I kind of want to get it neatened and all back together back there, if that makes sense. I just want to get that all ready really. What was I going to say? Over there, hiding, is a stator to try on that bike over there. It's practically identical. It should work. So I'm looking forward to putting that on. Probably may not be today, maybe tomorrow, which is Friday, or Saturday. But yeah, I've got a stator there. Basically it's just another same size, what appears to be same size stator with a 4-wire output, same, you know, which is what that was, 4-wire output. I even think a 5-wire output would work, and you just don't connect one of the outputs. Normally you get 3 whites or 3 yellows, don't you? If your bike only accepts 2 of them into its brain, into its CDI or its regulator, then that's fine. Okay, where are we? Let's get some of the... Let's continue with the rear end for now. I follow that kind of system where I like it to be buttoned up before doing other things. So let me get some of the rear ends put back together.